that's done, let's create a new script. I'm going to create a script. Right click, create C# script, and call it leaderboard. Going to erase that. We need a reference to our text, so we can put using TM Pro, which is the Text Mesh Pro names GUI scores. We can call that. Let's make a function this tool from Dan QZQ on itch.io, where you can scroll down, right click the download the Unity package of this .io, and where you scroll down you'd like package, which you can drag and drop into the package of this, then down, and click import to import all of these scripts. Back in the creator, we can click run, create a new leaderboard, and we can call this test or whatever you'd like. For now, you can copy the public key. In Unity, make a variable or the public key. Private, you can game, create board creator to create our leaderboard. You see, I have a leaderboard for my game. Create a new leaderboard, and we can call this test or whatever you'd like. For now, you can copy the public key. In Unity, make a variable or the public key. Private, string, public, leaderboard, key equals, and paste from your keyboard to set it this one's positioning. Once that's script or text place field, we can record. We're going to be using this tool. No thanks. Take me to the downloads, then download. That will download a Unity package, which you can drag and drop into your Unity scene, and click import to import all of these scripts. Back in the creator, we can click run leaderboard creator to create our leaderboard. You see, I have a leaderboard for my game. Create a new leaderboard, and we can call this test or whatever you'd like. For now, you can copy the public key. In Unity, make a variable or the public key. Private, string, public, leaderboard, leaderboard key equals and paste from your keyboard to set it to our value. Now, we can use the using dan.main namespace, which is the package we imported, and we can put leaderboard creator.getLeaderboard, pass in our public key, comma, and the leaderboard dan.main namespace, which is the package we imported, and we can put leaderboard creator.getLeaderboard, pass in our public key, comma, and this will be our callback function that is called when our request for getting the leaderboard is completed. Since we do have to query the internet, this does take some time to complete and the value isn't returned immediately, so we have to wait for that value to be returned. And in this case, we can make a callback function right inside of this function, put parentheses and take in a parameter, which you can name whatever you want. And we'll use this arrow notation to define a function within a function and make sure the variable name matches for your public key. So getLeaderboard will return a value which we will be able to access via this message parameter, and then we can do some processing within this function. So here we can set our names and scores of our Text Mesh Pro list to the ones on the leaderboard. So we can do a simple for loop for int I equals 0, I is less than names.count, which is the amount of names in this list, semicolon plus plus I or I plus plus. And so now we will iterate over each of these names and replace it with our values from the leaderboard that we fetched. So now we can do names at I dot text. So we'll assign the text equal to message at I dot username. And you can see we can copy that, and instead of the names, we can put scores. And instead of username, and you can assign the text equal to message at I dot username. And you can see we can copy that, and instead of the names, we can put scores. And instead of username, we could put score here. However, this is an integer, so we have to convert it to a string by putting dot here. However, this is an integer, so we have to convert it to a string by putting dot toString. Now let's make a function for uploading to the leaderboard. We can do public void set leaderboard and entry. And we can take in a username, string username, and the score, int score. Now we can use the leaderboard creator dot upload new entry, pass in our public key, public leaderboard key, our name, username, and the score. Then we can add another public leaderboard key, our name, username, and the score. Then we can add another comma, and this will be our callback function that is called when this function is complete. So let's put in a parameter called message. Which we won't actually be using, so you could put an underscore if you'd like. Then once we've added our username to the leaderboard, we want to update our leaderboard so the user can see the changes, and for the amount by string, then here, and which I included in the bad words or the is a bad word. So I have an array of bad words, which I will not show on the video, but here we check if our name is included in the bad words array with this function index of. If it is, it will return an index greater than -1. I don't want to create a new leader. So I'm going to object its name. The first one we actually need to do inspector little lock icon. So once we click another game object, it name the score. We won't be using a reference to the leaderboard. In this case, TextMesh Pro, which is a TextMesh Pro input. field. So we can do score and get a send a this oak. I'm gonna put int.parse. You send our input score field. You can do, and then you'll still want to put private this because you'll probably have that score stored in a script that relates to the gameplay board score. Leaderboard, we can erase the using system.collections. Here we can have a reference to our score, which in your case, it might differ how you pass in the score to the leaderboard because you'll probably have that score stored in so we can call that input. Now we need to leaderboard send the event input, and we send a string into an integer. And so essentially what we're doing here to submit will connect parameters to the leaderboard of direct as null managers and also to assist in debugging. Now hassles later on, just gonna to the in our format function indicates the board are dynamically passing in the name and the score. Now I'm just gonna rename this text to score. Under the I'm pressing these not enough entries to reduce the amount in length we have the message. This condition is transiently to an calculation. However, there are no current scores. So let's try. If we click on the error name, I'm pressing the submit button. As you can see, there is an error. If we click on the error message, it's because there's not enough entries in the leaderboard to populate our list. So we can do an if statement in the for loop. However, to reduce the amount of time, if so names.count, and this is a way of doing a short if else statement. Then we choose the message.length, else we choose the names.count. So this is if this condition is true, then this value will be set, else